And now, from my Dark Matters collection, I present to you Flight 777. Have you made your reservation? Larry Hart was true to his name, as he was one of the most kind, gentle, friendly, and truly good-hearted people you could ever meet. And it was never for show, not even a hint of insincerity. No one ever accused him of being too sugary or phony. As his friends often said, he was one of the truly good guys, a real salt of the earth. Larry and his wife, Kathleen, raised 4 children in a modest suburban home in northern New Jersey, and were blessed with 7 now adult grandchildren. Larry was a retired elementary school teacher who spent 40 years in the same 5th grade classroom in a high-needs inner-city school district not far from his home. He spent much of his free time volunteering at the local food pantry. He delivered food to the needy through the Meals on Wheels program, and he was a tutor in an adult literacy program on weekends. Larry was always willing to lend a hand in the neighborhood, helping out with yard work and simple home repairs, and he never, ever asked or expected for anything in return. Larry's affable and selfless personality never changed, even during some of the most difficult trials and tribulations of his now 77-year lifetime. Outliving his wife was hard, but his darkest hour was the loss of his youngest daughter, Angela, to breast cancer at age 33. But through it all, he stayed steady as a rock, more positive and upbeat than anyone could expect. It was his deep religious faith and spirituality that got him through the most difficult times. Larry had just one item on his bucket list: a vacation to the west coast of Ireland, County Kerry, the home of his grandparents on his mother's side. His dream was to sit at the ocean side enjoying the sea breeze while sipping a hot cup of tea, at peace with the world, and a life well lived. After all the good he'd done for others, a group of friends and neighbors pitched in to repay his many favors with a surprise birthday gift for the vacation of his dreams. Larry's trip to Ireland exceeded his greatest expectations, and County Kerry was more beautiful than he imagined. He drove the loop around the Iveragh Peninsula, visited the Ring of Kerry, Mal's Gap, and lunched at the Fish Box in Dingle. The time spent with relatives and new acquaintances made it an experience that he knew he would never forget. A minor glitch in his vacation came in the form of a recurring dream that interfered with his regular pattern of restful, undisturbed sleep. It was the kind of dream in which he was consciously aware of what was occurring in real time. In his dream, Larry enters an elevator and presses floor number 777. After a very long ride up, the doors open, and he's greeted by a woman with soft and gentle features, dressed in a white flowing gown. Her almost angelic face looked more and more familiar as the nights went by. She would always say the same thing: "Not yet, Larry. Your seat at the table isn't quite ready." When the elevator doors close, he wakes up, unable to fall back asleep. On his final night in Ireland, the dream changed. Larry enters the elevator and presses floor number 777, as usual. And after a very long ride up, the doors open, and he is greeted by the same woman with soft and gentle features, dressed in a white flowing gown. But in this final dream, he now recognizes her. She says, "Hi, Daddy. That elevator sure beats a stairway, doesn't it?" And in his dream, he is aware that he laughs at this line, as an instrumental cover of that old Led Zeppelin tune had been playing during his ride up. Angela then says, "Your seat at the table is just about ready, Daddy. You'll be right between me and Mom." And he wakes up, never having to take that elevator ride down. Larry got to Shannon International with time to spare and arrived early at Gate 7. He saw that his departure time for Flight 777 was on schedule, 7:07 p.m. IST. His boarding pass showed that he was in Group 7. He then heard an unusual announcement. It is now time for Group 7 passenger Larry Hart to board Flight 777. Please proceed through the white lane, Mr. Hart. Will all other passengers in Groups 1 through 6 please remain seated until your group is called? As Larry approached the gate agent, he noticed that she was a dead ringer for his wife Kathleen when he first met her 57 years ago. She checked his boarding pass and gave him a friendly wink as he entered the empty flight bridge. When Larry boarded the plane, he noticed that it was packed with a diverse group of passengers from every corner of the world. Most of them elderly, maybe 1 out of 5 in middle age. A few young men dressed in military fatigues, just a handful of teenagers, and fewer children. He even spotted a mother holding her newborn baby. Angela greeted him at the door, looking like she stepped out of his dream. She smiled and said, "Glad you could make it, Daddy. I think you'll find that this plane sure beats that elevator. You're our last pickup. Remember what you always used to tell me? Make every destination the journey? Well, Daddy, I get it now." In an eye blink, Kathleen appears in Angela's place and greets her husband. "Your seat at the table is finally ready, Lars. I'm so happy that you're joining us." She gives him a hug and a gentle kiss on the cheek, and in another eye blink, Kathleen is gone. Larry takes the only open seat, buckles in, hears the engines fire, and watches the terminal slowly move away as their plane taxis along the tarmac before gliding effortlessly toward the runway. If anyone at Shannon International happened to be paying attention that day, they would have seen Flight 777 accelerate quickly to take off, just a pure white blur of high-speed supersonic motion. They then would have watched it climb at an unusually steep angle, and when Flight 777 pierced a lumpy gray layer of nimbostratus rain clouds, they would have been nearly blinded by the beam of bright white light that flashed through the opening. Finally, they would have marveled at how quickly that hole repaired itself as soon as the plane cleared the cloud deck. But not surprisingly, everyone at Shannon International that day was either too busy with things or too distracted by their phones, too isolated in their cyber cocoons to notice. They all missed out on this most heavenly of unscheduled airline departures. But they weren't the only ones. The team of air traffic controllers gazed passively at their empty radar screens as Flight 777 did not register as one of those familiar electronic blips that they were trained to focus on. Meanwhile, passengers back at Gate 7 board their slightly delayed flight, oblivious to the fate of Larry Hart and his one-way trip to eternity. Truth be told, we all have a Flight 777 in our futures, and though it arrives in many different forms for the many different folks who wait unwittingly, it always gets there. Thanks for listening.